My name is Sarah, and I'm 26 years old, living in a small town just outside Portland. I'm a creature of habit. Every morning before work, I go to the same Starbucks, sit at the same table, and order the same caramel macchiato. The baristas know me well enough to have it ready before I even reach the counter. This morning felt no different. I pushed open the door, greeted by the familiar whiff of freshly brewed coffee. I waved at Ben, the barista who always seemed to work during my shifts. He was friendly, always with a smile, though sometimes I felt like he stared at me a bit too long. But I brushed it off, probably just my imagination. I waited by the counter, expecting my usual caramel macchiato to appear. But instead, Ben handed me a cup with my name on it, but it wasn't my order. I looked at the sticker. Sarah, black coffee. Ben, I think there's been a mistake, I said, holding up the cup. I didn't order this. Ben's eyes met mine, his smile widening just a bit too much. I thought you preferred this today, he said, his voice calm, almost too casual. I frowned. But I always get the macchiato. I know, he said, still smiling. But trust me, you'll like this one better. I didn't know what to say. Something about the whole situation felt off. I should have just refused the drink, but instead, I hesitantly took the cup and walked to my usual table. I stared at the black coffee, unsure. I wasn't a fan of plain coffee. Why would Ben think I'd want this? But a part of me didn't want to cause a scene. After a few moments, I shrugged and took a sip. Immediately, I regretted it. The bitter taste hit my tongue, but worse than that, a wave of dizziness washed over me. I set the cup down, my hand shaking slightly. My vision blurred for a moment, and my stomach churned. I needed to clear my head. Maybe it was just stress. I rushed to the bathroom, pushing open the door and splashing cold water on my face. As I glanced up, something caught my eye. Written in bold, red lipstick across the mirror were the words, "Don't drink what you didn't order." My heart stopped. I stumbled back, staring at the message in disbelief. Who would write that? And why? My mind raced with 100 different thoughts, but they all led back to Ben. I pushed open the bathroom door and stepped out into the cafe. The usual Starbucks hum felt eerily quiet. My eyes darted around the room, searching for Ben. He was behind the counter, his eyes locked on me, watching. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. There was something wrong. My instincts screamed at me to leave, but my legs felt heavy, like they were made of stone. Finally, I forced myself to move, grabbing my things and rushing for the exit. I could feel Ben's eyes on me the entire time, that same unsettling smile still on his face. As soon as I got outside, I bolted to my car, my heart racing in my chest. When I got home, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I threw the coffee away and tried to forget about it, but that night, I couldn't sleep. The message in the mirror replayed in my mind over and over. The next morning, I opened my laptop and decided to search for anything strange about that Starbucks. What I found made my blood run cold. A news article from just last week reported that a woman had died after drinking a spiked coffee at the same Starbucks. She had ordered a caramel macchiato, but received something else, something dangerous. The barista was arrested after an investigation. His name was Ben. I slammed my laptop shut, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't believe it. The same Ben who had served me every morning. The same Ben who gave me that black coffee yesterday. I didn't return to Starbucks after that. Even now, weeks later, I still get a knot in my stomach every time I pass a coffee shop. The memory of Ben's smile, the message in the mirror, and the near brush with death still haunt me. I can't shake the feeling that I narrowly escaped whatever fate that poor woman had met. And now, I never drink anything I didn't order. My name is Jason, I'm 24, and I work as a barista at a busy Starbucks in downtown Chicago. I've been here for a couple of years now, and I'm proud of the fact that I can remember almost every regular's order without asking. It's a small skill, but it makes people feel noticed. One of those regulars is a man named Greg. He's probably in his late 40s, always quiet and reserved. Every day, without fail, he orders the same thing: a plain black coffee. After ordering, he sits by the window, sipping it slowly while staring out at the busy street. He never talks to anyone and usually stays for hours. But one day, something strange happened. Greg came in like usual, ordered his coffee, and sat by the window. The place was packed, and I was swamped with orders. It wasn't until the rush slowed down that I noticed Greg was gone, but his coffee was still there, untouched. I found it odd, but I didn't think too much of it. People leave things behind all the time. Maybe he was in a hurry and forgot it. But when I looked closer, it felt wrong. Greg never left without finishing his coffee. The next day, I opened the store for another shift, and my heart nearly stopped. Greg's coffee cup was back. The same spot, the same black coffee, untouched again. I checked with my coworkers, but none of them saw Greg come in. It didn't make any sense. I was sure I had thrown out his cup the day before. As the days went by, Greg's cup kept showing up in that exact spot, always untouched, and no one ever saw him come in. I started feeling uneasy every time I opened the store, half expecting to see that cup waiting for me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to look into it. I tried asking some of the regulars if they'd seen Greg lately, but no one knew who I was talking about. That's when I went online and found something that made my blood run cold. Greg had been reported missing. The report said he disappeared weeks ago, long before I noticed his strange absence. There were no leads, no signs of where he'd gone, just his empty apartment left behind. I didn't know what to do with that information. I told my manager, who called the police, but when they came by, they didn't find anything unusual. To them, it was just an empty cup, nothing more. They left, and I was stuck with this growing sense of dread. Greg's coffee kept reappearing, day after day. I'd come in, see that cup sitting there by the window, and feel like I was losing my mind. It felt like some ghostly reminder, as if Greg was still out there, trying to be seen, but no one else could notice. I don't know what happened to him or why his cup keeps showing up, but every time I walk into work, I feel like I'm being watched. Like Greg is still here, silently sitting by the window, waiting for something, or someone. And I can't escape the feeling that one day I might vanish just like he did. My name is Ethan. I'm 31, and I live in downtown Seattle. I've always liked working at my local Starbucks. The spot by the window is perfect for zoning out with my laptop and coffee, and I'm there almost every afternoon. There's this woman I often see sitting across from me. Her name is Emma, at least, that's what the barista called out one day when she picked up her order. She's always there, typing away like me, lost in her own world. We never talked, but something about her intrigued me. One afternoon, I finally worked up the nerve to say hello. I walked over to her table and introduced myself. "Hi, I'm Ethan," I said, expecting a polite response. But Emma didn't say anything. She just stared at me, her face expressionless, her eyes dull. I felt a strange tension in the air. After a few awkward seconds, I mumbled an apology and went back to my seat. The next day, she wasn't there. I figured maybe I'd creeped her out. I tried to brush it off and focus on my work. That night, I was home when my phone buzzed. It was a notification from an unknown number. I opened it, and my heart stopped. It was a picture of me, sitting at Starbucks, taken from across the street. Confused, I scrolled through my messages. My inbox was flooded with photos of me at Starbucks, all from different angles, some close, others taken from far away. My skin crawled. Panicking, I called the police and told them about the messages. They came by, but what they told me next made everything worse. Ethan, one of the officers said, the woman you mentioned, Emma, she's been missing for weeks. Her body was found in her apartment a few days ago. My stomach twisted. That couldn't be right. I saw her just yesterday, sitting right across from me. I tried explaining, but the officers looked at me like I was imagining things. When they left, I sat in silence, my heart racing. I checked my phone again, and sure enough, another picture had arrived. This one was taken through my apartment window. Whoever was watching me knew where I lived. The photos never stopped. Day after day, more kept coming, and each one felt closer, more personal. I don't know who's behind it or why they're doing this, but I know one thing for sure. Someone is out there, watching my every move, and I can't escape.